Welcome to the Thursday edition of Offensively Offensive. It is just myself, Thom, and Nate today. Sean is once again working too much. He's out of town. We will more than likely be joined by David later, once again, to talk some women's basketball, but we're here to talk some men's basketball hoops. Off to a hard start. I know Nate wants to talk a little bit about the NBA first before we get underway. He's got a couple feelings about a certain somebody who's been dishing on his team.
Thanks, Thom. So for all of the NBA fans in Iowa, as Brent Bloom likes to say, all 7 of us, today was deadline day. Today at 2 p.m. was deadline day. And there's been hype for about nearly a decade about a certain Greek fella in Milwaukee. Now, I am a big Bucks fan, for those who don't know. And to hear the same articles over and over and over and over again about the same guy leaving the Bucks and going to all these teams. We're looking at trades like Jaren Jackson going to the Jazz for 3 first-round picks. Thom, what did we say before the show about what we really think about Jaren Jackson compared to the talent of Giannis?
Giannis is probably 2 Jaren Jacksons.
Probably 2 of them. So right there, we're talking 6. And that we're having people like Shams go on national television in a paid ESPN role saying that we're going to trade Giannis for Jimmy Butler, who just tore his ACL, and Brandon Podziemski and a couple of firsts. Why? That makes no sense. So it's very funny that he continues to speculate and he continues to be wrong. So I'm glad he's eating shit today on the internet. So he'll get memed, deservedly so, for a long time.
I'm glad you guys say all that because I was on Bucks Twitter for probably 20 minutes today and they were all going for his head, and rightfully so. Like, nonstop talked about it. Even in the offseason, it was just all Giannis, and nothing came from it.
For nothing. It'd be something if it was actually something, but why are we doing this? You could have reported on 15 other trades that were happening. Like Anthony Davis got traded, and this is what we're doing. We're making up make-believe because we want to make the next decision. But in other news, in real news, the Iowa State Cyclones are back. We're back in business after a nice 4-game mollywop of Kansas State and Colorado. We like that. Let's start there, Thom. With this, let's just think about it. Flashback to the land of make-believe in 2021, 2022, when Shams was still making fake articles about Giannis getting traded right before he won a title. But the Iowa State Cyclones hired a basketball coach that year, and so did the Kansas State Wildcats in the same year. So if you look at the trajectory of the programs since that point, I think TJ is officially either tied or passed Hoiberg for most wins in school history. Thank you, Jason. Jason comments that the Haslams are ruining your favorite team. I'm sorry about the Browns too, I'm guessing. So, but you got the trajectory of Iowa State. What is TJ officially the winningest coach in school history yet?
No, he's currently tied for. He just tied Fred after the Kansas State win. I want to say
like 3rd
or 4th. He just passed. He's tied for 4th, I believe.
4th. Okay, so tied for 4th, and Jerome Tang is on the verge of getting his athletic director fired and then subsequently himself. So very crazy to think about all the talk that's gone down since that fateful day of Spygate.
It is so bad in Manhattan, Kansas right now that they are upset and they're going at their assistant coaches for how much that they get paid, which is true. I saw some of their salaries. I'm like, this assistant coach is making this much money. Like, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I always go back to the tweet from Fran Fraschilla, Iowa State guy, it seems like on when he does our games, he tweeted out, like, it's not word for word, but something along the lines of, Pollard's going to get his guy for Ames, Iowa. I wouldn't be surprised by TJ, but don't forget about this guy over at Baylor on Scott Drew's staff, Jerome Tang. And I just always think back to that tweet. Again, that's not word for what it said, but I'm just like, what could have been? Man. Like, imagine him after every win, just going up to the student section, doing the juicy wiggle with everybody. You would love to see that.
After we were sneaking by like Northeastern or something at non-con. Like, yeah. Oof. I just what a change. It's shocking to see how different the programs played, and just how different the environments were. I can't believe they're still wearing those jerseys for one. Like, what are we doing with dark bottom shorts and this lavender like tank top? I don't get it.
I understand they're throwbacks, but they're just so bad. They're
Just
so bad.
make it one color. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes the throwbacks didn't need to be thrown back to. Like,
that's a good point.
that's why they call it progress. Like, shit, I don't know.
Do you remember your going a little bit onto the Iowa State side, Iowa State pod and everything? Do you remember your predictions going into the season with this team?
I thought we were probably Sweet 16-ish. I didn't think we were going to be this good. A lot of that comes down to how well the freshmen stepped in right away and how they've developed over the last probably 3 weeks, to be honest with you, and just how they're kind of becoming their own thing. Bateman's been fantastic, especially over this last stretch of 2 or 3 games. I think Oklahoma State not Oklahoma State, Colorado, I think he had 20 plus points. I mean,
something along the lines of that. Yeah,
that was the best game I saw from him all year. I think that's probably the best game we've seen out of a scoring guard out of Iowa State this year. It's really glad that. I mean, it's good to see that we're getting that. It's nice to see that we're probably going to get more of those guys coming in next year. But yeah, plus with Toure being as impactful defensively, that was a shock to me. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, we got the reports, in the preseason of just hyping up everybody. Bateman, good shooter. Toure's a dog. Like, Platza looks good for coming in so late. Blah blah blah. But it turns out it was 3 for 3. All of them were right. Which, like, what are the odds? Obviously, Plata took a little longer, and same with Bateman than Toure coming into their roles. But I was in the same spot. I was like, this is a 4 or 5 seed. I could see us making the Sweet 16 if Taman's healthy. The biggest hang my hat on take that I had was the ceiling is as high as the freshman class will take us. And boy, I should have clipped that and sent that out, and I could tweet that out, because I remind people, like I'm doing it right now, about that, because it's never been more true. You're so right with Toure. I never thought he'd be the defender he is right now, where he's looked so good. He's had one bad game, and it was in Allen Fieldhouse against the number 1 pick. And that's it. It looked like we changed our defense a little bit. It didn't look like our traditional defense there. It looked like we tried to play a little more like focused and shift the defense onto Peterson, and it didn't work out too well.
I think that maybe that wasn't coaching. That might have just been his mentality that game. Allen's weird. I'm just going to put it there. Like, it's a weird place for the road team. Not saying it's haunted,
but it's a tear blow.
But
it's on.
But it's on it.
He's played so well. I have, from his last 2 games, Colorado and Kansas State, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and then 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He went 1 for 2 from 3 each of those games, 0 turnovers, and he had 3 steals against Kansas State. I believe he's had 3 turnovers the past 4 games, and all 3 came against Oklahoma State. And that's fast-paced game, a lot of possessions. Like, turnover counts is just going to be higher than it usually should be. But, like, say what you want. Like, Kansas State, it's a bad team. Yes, bad environment, but it's still on the road. You're facing PJ Haggerty, who's going to make you work on the defensive end to get his own. And, he just looks so good. And, like, I'll flip it to you, because we're going to get into some NCAA tournament talk here. Like, guards win you championships. Guards win you games in the NCAA tournament. Usually it's older guards. Do you think Toure has what it takes to survive and play well in the NCAA tournament?
I think he does. I want to put a pin in that for 1 second, but we're still talking Toure. He seems to have somewhat of a signature play going on. Not that he's doing this by design. His signature is the live ball transition dunk. Like, he will steal the ball on the other side of the court. It'll just be him leaking out in transition because he's that much faster than everybody else. Like, that's the thing that kind of crazy is like he's good for probably 4 points a game doing just that.
The way he's playing so confidently on defense too, he acts like he's like a junior transfer from like North Dakota State.
He plays defense like the corner that is barking at the receiver the whole game and backing it up. Like when you watch the videos of like prime Jalen Ramsey talking smack, that's kind of how Toure plays, like aggressively.
Look, we're two Packer guys, but it's like 2020, 2021 Jair Alexander out there right now.
I'd say more Chuck Woodson because he's scoring off of him.
It's a good point.
But to go back to the tournament, I'd say Toure is a unique situation just because when you think of experienced guards, more or less you're thinking American experienced guards. I think with how he was probably developed through likely a club system or club hierarchy system, I think it's probably going to be a little easier for him to be in kind of the do or die scenario because that's probably how they played over there. He seems to play above his age to begin with, so I don't think that's anything too crazy to think. Now, what scares me is like Bateman is what are we expecting from him in the tournament? Are we going to get the Oklahoma State Bateman, or are we going to get maybe the Bateman we saw earlier in the year where he's going 0 for 3 from 3? Nothing again. I mean, he's playing fantastic right now. We haven't seen it yet. So, and it's a freshman. It's tough to expect a lot out of that. So,
yeah. So you go back, and I kind of have this stat memorized at this point. You go back all the way to 2013. All those national champions have really good guards, and not only really good guards, but senior point guards, old guards. The only one that you can kind of talk about is 2015 Duke with freshman Tyus Jones, but he was the most outstanding player in the Final Four because he was the best guard there. They also had a senior Quinn Cook. So again, senior
and Grayson
guard.
Allen. And
Grayson Allen went off in the championship against Wisconsin. There's a recipe to it. It's you have good veteran guards, you have somewhat of a shot blocker down low, and then you have a wing that can get you 20 in a random game when you need it. When the guards happen to be off or are struggling a little bit, you have that wing. Iowa State, they had the recipe last year a little bit. Injuries kind of derailed it. This year, they have the recipe. You have the senior guard in Lipsy. You have the good guard in Toure. You have the wing that can get you 20 a game in Milan. And then you get to the shot blocker down low, Buchanan. That's an interesting development. He's looked a little better the past couple of games. I know Colorado, we had like 6 guys in double digits. He wasn't one of them. Kansas State, we had 4 or 5. Again, he wasn't one of them. But again, he's doing his role, and he's doing it much better than the bigs we had last year. So that is an interesting point because, like I brought it up, I thought the guards are a very big talking point, how well they play in the NCAA tournament. Buchanan's going to play a big role because if he's in foul trouble, we don't have a lot of post depth. You're going to a foreign overseas freshman in Plato who looks really good, but do you want him playing 28 minutes a game? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Styles make fights with the bigs. The big thing, though, is like we do have something that we know nobody else will have in March, and that is a 6'8", 55% shooting sniper at the 3. And I don't know if did you watch the Texas Tech Kansas game the other night? Got to rip on Fran for a minute here. He said the hottest shooter in the Big 12 is probably Richie Saunders. I don't know if anybody else heard that, and I just kind of sat there. I was like, dude, the same conference has potentially the greatest shooting season ever from anybody in college, and we're just gonna say that Richie Saunders, whatever.
And I get it. He had like 38. He had a career high in Allen Fieldhouse. I get it. But Fran, you're a Big 12 guy. You gotta have Milan. You gotta have Milan in the head. Yeah.
Steph Curry would kill people to shoot 55% for a season from 3, shooting 7 a game. Like,
it's true.
Man.
We'll do a quick zag real quick. All gas, no breakfast has a comment of, speaking of the Packers, like we mentioned before, what were our takes on Pauly leaving Penn State for Green Bay? Pauly was an assistant at Iowa State, followed Campbell. Now he's joined the Packers staff as a wide receiver coach. I like it. I'm assuming you like it too.
Yep. Campbell's put 3 or 4 receivers on the Texans alone in the last 2 seasons or so. Jaden Higgins is the first second-round contract to ever be guaranteed. It screwed up everybody else for a reason. I think he's been a really good player. He didn't come to Iowa State for nothing.
And
So
I believe
hopefully
he
that's good for the
coached
Packers.
Christian Watson too.
Ooh, well, hopefully he can reteach him how to catch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Levi literally just commented as I said it. That's chemistry right there from the
Yep.
Slack.
That also they're trying to cheapen up on the extension. Like, hey, we got you a coach.
It's like, hey man, like we got
Maybe
one of your
take $1
buddies
million
over here.
less. We got to pay Micah.
Anyways, though, back to Iowa State. Schedule's coming up. We're getting into that quote unquote gauntlet more, and so actually facing good teams. Baylor on Saturday, then you got TCU on the road following that, and then you really get into the big games there. What's your confidence level 1 through 10? Not just on like going undefeated with 1 loss, but how do you think Iowa State comes out of this?
Well, so we have 9 games left of the stretch, and I think it's probably a good point just to go right into it. Where we're sitting right now, we're probably a 2 seed. Just with the way that the conferences are aligned, where the powers that be are and who the powers that be. Like, we got Duke as a 1 seed, we got Michigan as a 1 seed, we got UConn as a 1 seed, all in different conferences, and that's not even getting to the Big 12. That's got 7 teams in the top 13. Sorry, I didn't mean to do the joke there. That's stupid. I hate that thing. But so you got 9 games left. What jumps you a seed line? Probably 7-2, 8-1 in this stretch. And the 2 losses have to be to the ranked teams. If you're going 7-2, you'd probably, if you're thinking you're going to get a 1 seed, you're going to have to win at Arizona. You're going to have to beat Tech. You're going to have to beat Houston. I think if you lose to Kansas, I don't think that drops you as much. And if you lose at BYU, that's a tough place to play with the elevation. So I think we should be super grateful if we get 7-2 out of this.
Yeah, I think the goal is to get 7-2, 6-3 if the 3 losses are understandable.
Yeah.
Like if you play well, just like you get a bad beat, like need a stop and there's a foul, like just something like that where it's understandable. You go 6-3. You got the Big 12 tournament to maybe make up for a head-to-head battle. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, or however that saying goes. I always forget that.
Just I think it's like you just don't be the nail because you want to be the hammer.
If you want to be a 1 seed, you can't lose to Houston or Arizona because those are the 2 teams you're going up against. BYU has dropped off. I think they've dropped 2 in a row now, 3 in a row actually.
I think it's 3, maybe going on 4.
Yeah, they play Houston on Saturday. I know that's at home, but
talk about a get right game from hell, right?
And then we play Arizona on the road. I said this on our post game show after Kansas State. It's gotten to the point where I believe in this team to win every single game, which doesn't mean we're going to win every single game. And deep down inside my heart, I don't think we will, but it gives me the optimism that this team is so good, not just shooting the ball, but ball movement, defense, rotations, transition plays, that we can stay in a game and have the opportunity to win it. And guess what? When we have the opportunity to win a game, we have Jefferson, Milan, and Taman to deliver in those spots. So I don't think we go undefeated, but I can spin zone every single game so easily to make it think like we can win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the vision there. I think you've seen a significant kind of jumpstart, kickstart out of this team after that 2-game drop there. To the point that you just made, the ball's been snapping around a lot better. The ball's been moving. We're getting a little bit more live ball turnovers, hitting more shots because people are cutting and moving on offense a little bit more because the ball's snapping more. It's been good to see. If real basic box score watching here, we're above 84 points in each of our last 4 games. I think if we scored 80-plus points in any game, we're probably going to win that game with our defense. So do I think we could go 9-0? Yes. Do I think the Big 12 is a bitch? Yes. So 7-2, and you're probably still happy and you're still a 2 seed. And I really don't think this year of all years, it doesn't really matter if you're a 1 or a 2 as long as you're a 1 or a 2. I don't think you want to be in the 3, 4, 5, 6 jumble and then have a really tough second round game.
I think we go 7-2 in the stretch. And gun to my head, if I had to pick the losses, I think Houston is one of them. And then I can't decide between BYU or Arizona. BYU feels like an obvious pick. They play more ISO. We're a way better matchup than the past couple of years. But it feels like they're skidding too early. I feel like this skid is happening before we play them. They're going to get back up. And I have a fear with how they've played us. The confidence might be there. The one thing I don't like about AJ's game is he does a lot of mid-range pull-ups. We give up baseline so we can trap. But guess what? There's that little section that he can pull up in. That worries me. But spin zone, we are a very good matchup if we rebound the basketball, which always is a tough thing to do for Arizona. And then there's also, I think, with this team, and especially the way they played against Tang and Kansas State, they hold a little bit of storylines to them. I think there's a little beef and a little more motivation going back to Arizona with how that game ended last year.
I could see that. The BYU,
because Nate, you were on the teams. Like, if you have that kind of loss and you go back to that place, like, you're gonna have a little more motivation, right? Or is it a little more like haunted feeling?
You're thinking about it, and then you're gonna want to change that feeling. So, I really hope it's cold in Central Iowa next week. When Kansas and Houston come to town, because a 1-day prep for Houston, not including just getting your body right over that 1 day, like, that's brutal. Like, not only are you going just on a 1-day prep, you're going from Bill Self, Kansas, and Darren Peterson, like, and those two bigs. Because I think the bigs are really underrated for Kansas. I don't think anybody gives Tiller any love. He's been fantastic for them. And Badunga. I mean, we know what he is at this point. He's going to be an NBA shot blocker at some point. But if you can rattle off the next 4, if you're lucky enough to go beat Baylor, go down to TCU, win that, and then rattle those off, and then you lose at BYU, I get it. Like, if you go 4-1 in your next 5, then you go beat Utah, and then come back and kind of get a fresh start. Because, I mean, the best part about this stretch is that there is a little bit of a break after the Utah trip. Like, you do have a 4-day stretch for a home game, and then you have another 3-day stretch before you go out to Arizona. So the next 2 weeks are going to suck, though. Like, that, this is where the real, like, damn it comes in.
Yeah. There could also easily be, like, at TCU, I know they just got throttled by Colorado. Like, they're still an okay team. There's, like, not on the bubble, but they're near it. They're going to be playing hard because their season's not over yet. At TCU, I would say it always plays them close there. So, like, that's another game to keep on your mind, too. And it kind of goes into, I guess, Saturday's game. Like, Baylor, we remember we beat them at their place, and they've gone on a skid since. Like, in the middle of that, they lost 7 of 8 games. But since then, they've won 2. Now it's West Virginia and Colorado, but they went on the road and beat West Virginia. They were up by 30 at one point against Colorado and won by 19. Like, they're starting to play better. They are on the bubble. Like, they're going to come in hungry. Unfortunately for them, Iowa State's just playing too well. The matchups, like, Scott Drew's he's a good coach in Hilton. I'll give him that. But, like, this team, I don't think can take care of themselves in an environment like Hilton.
I would think that Scott Drew would need one of his contender teams to come beat this Iowa State team in Hilton. Maybe his teams from the Niang era when he had Motley and some of those guys.
Rico Gathers and
I don't think they're built to beat this team. As long as we shoot a normal percentage from the field, I think we'll be all right. Honestly, I'm just really enjoying watching every game of Milan shoot at the clip that he is. It's insane.
It's unbelievable. He'll go 5 for 9 and we'll be like, it was an okay game.
Yeah, I guess that was all right. Like, I've seen better on it, and I've seen 8 for 9 a couple times. Like, we're really spoiled. I don't know how high he's going to go in the draft next year, but it's going to be pretty high. And it's going to suck.
Yeah, it is gonna suck. Yeah, I do like. I always talk about. I've always liked this schedule, but you're just seeing like. So we got to play Kansas, Cincinnati. We dropped them. We had the opportunity to fix things, watch them tape, have the opportunity to fix those problems. We did, and now you get the talent you face of like Colorado, Kansas State, like it's low, and now you get Baylor and TCU who are a little bit better, just in time for Kansas and Houston, and BYU and Arizona. It's just like you work your way up, just how the NCAA tournament is. You know, you work on that 15 seed, and then you get that 7 or 10, then you get the 3. Like this team, with the way everything's planned out so far, it's been not a lucky season because they've played to give them they've played to have these
they've earned the right
opportunities.
to earn
Yes.
the right.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
Mike
That's what I
Thom
was
would
getting at.
say.
Is like they've given themselves this opportunity because of how well they played down the stretch. So it's just like I don't know. Again, like I'm like talk me off just being so positive all the time. I guess like the one thing is like how tough is this team? Because like playing in like dogfights, like it's been St. John's, which we won, and then you could argue the second half against Iowa where they had to make the comeback. Iowa made a little push at the end and they held them off. Like those are the two that really come to mind. And Houston on short rest, like that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's gonna be a significant punch to the mouth. Whether Houston actually delivers the punch or not, like it could just be fatigue. Baylor was a little tighter than I think they would have liked the first time around, but in terms of like true challenges, probably nothing too crazy. I thought Cincinnati, they played well. They just couldn't buy a bucket or keep the ball in their hands, but they were also not moving the ball as well as they are now. So we can kind of burn. That was kind of like a burn the tape game, I thought. So
since he was a big, you could like Milan was going off, but he was because nobody else could pass the ball or make a move. Like everybody was just standing there.
Yeah,
and
everyone
then,
just
like, yeah, of course Milan went off. He was the only one shooting the ball.
Yeah, but to your point, they've earned the right to earn the right. This is a great stretch. I think, like you said, it is somewhat of a blessing in disguise because it does give you somewhat of that tournament feel without having the consequences of what a tournament actually is, which is if you lose, you're screwed. The 3 games for the Kansas, Houston, BYU stretch is nice. And then following up with Tech and Arizona almost feel kind of like tune-up games. Like those are kind of your practice runs for your March weekends because like you gotta I think that's a Friday to a Sunday game or a Friday to a Monday. So it's probably around like a Thursday to a Sunday tournament game. So I like that. I'm interested to see, though. I mean, Arizona's got a hell of a stretch coming up. Houston's got a hell of a stretch coming up. Kansas has a hell of a stretch. Like all of these teams that we're playing also all play each other. So there should be some shuffling here. I'd be interested to see what we're ranked going into BYU. I would not be shocked if we won both home games, even though I'm complaining about Houston on short rest.
No, yeah, it's fair. Like, he could easily be 2-0 from those 2 games. And one more thing that I like about this schedule is you always see them like, oh, we're home against Utah, and then we're at Texas Tech, and then we're at TCU, and then home against Kansas, where it's like lower opponent, higher opponent, lower opponent, high opponent. No, we're just going into it. Like Kansas, Houston, bang, bang. I know Utah's mixed in with BYU, but I still think, at Utah, they play at fast pace. They're better than Kansas State. They're competitive. They played with BYU twice, and then both games got out of hand in the last 10 minutes, but like they gave them tough first halves. So like that's a game. Yeah. So like, I don't know.
If you're doing a tournament simulator, right? You're doing like, hey, I want to see like 15 different simulations. At some point, the 2 seed's going to play the 10 seed or going to play the 14 seed in the Sweet 16, That's kind of what Utah is in that stretch. If you're truly like, you're going from, I mean, that really could be your 6 games in March if you were thinking about it. So, should be fun to see. Do you want to do brackets, KenPom? What do you want to do? Season outlook?
Yeah, let's get into some bracket talk real quick, though. All gas, no breakfast came with the question of, did I get my light bulb replaced? No, but we have an additional lamp that is on right now until the light bulb is fixed. But light bulb gate is still at full force. No, so I'm assuming they do AI pictures of people on the show and they combine them. So that's us.
Yeah, that's your mustache.
If you're listening,
on my
they
face.
have a picture of us.
Sick. Something that I'll never grow on my face. You're blessed.
Yeah,
Thom.
Jason 25 makes a good point. He just commented the end of the year schedule might help them in the NCAA tournament, and I agree. And somebody could make the case that you play all these big teams followed by the Big 12 tournament. If they make a run there, like, do you think they'll take off of the gas pedal a little bit when you're going into face a 15, maybe a 16 seed? Not as odds as a coach. We saw that from a certain coach as a 14 seed. I leave that name anonymous. I don't think that happens with TJ Otzelberger. And with the way he practices, we've seen some halftime speeches. I don't even think we get to a halftime speech with the 15 seed.
I think this team has a unique focus about them because you don't see any drama. You don't see any chaos. You don't hear about anything at all for certain. I don't think they would let that slip. And especially with the break that you have from Selection Sunday to playing on Thursday or Friday, that should be enough to get bodies right, at least enough to be able to beat a lower seed like that. Interesting
point that I would make. Some past champions, 2016 Villanova, got bounced in the round of 32 a year before. I would go 2019 Virginia, obviously got bounced in the round of 64 with the 16 seed. Kansas in 2022, they got bounced in the round of 32 in 2021. There's a little bit. I will dig more on that. That's just off the dome right there. There's a little recipe of, hey, some players are probably pissed off and a little more focused in the first two rounds when they're still at the same program and they lost the year before.
Yeah, the coaches are going to drill that in too. Like, do you really want to have that feeling again? Remember where we were last year? Like, that's going to be the speech. I guarantee it.
But yeah, so NCAA tournament. What I did was I was interested to see where we would potentially play. So the South region is Houston. It's in Rice University's arena. Not too familiar with their arena, but I guess it's big enough to hold a Sweet 16 and a Elite 8 game.
I bet. Wait, the regionals at Rice?
It says, like, the location is Houston, and then you look at the area, and it says Rice University.
I bet it's where the Rockets play. It's got to be where the Rockets play because they're going to.
I guess that does make sense because when they play in Des Moines, they say Drake University.
Yeah,
and that's not where. Okay, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so the South region is Houston, the West region is San Jose, Midwest is Chicago, and then East is Washington D.C. and the Final Four is in Indianapolis. Chicago's nice. Iowa State went there for the Sweet 16 when they lost to Houston, when they lost to Miami in 2022. I went to that game. That was brutal. Chicago was fun. But
so if we're getting a two, I'm assuming we're going to get a 2 seed just because
that's where I'm at too.
As good as I think this team is, I think that in this era of college sports, conferences matter, and the heads of conferences will make sure that the best team in their conference will be at the top of one of the brackets. Big East, Big 10, ACC, and Big 12 will get a 1 seed. The fact that the SEC might not is kind of crazy to me. I kind of like it. So if we're getting a 2 seed, are we going to be the best 2 seed? So what are the other 2 seeds that I'm looking at on CBS right now? Illinois, probably. Iowa State, Houston, and Nebraska. Now, I would not be surprised if Nebraska drops from the 2 line and goes to the 3 and Kansas comes up. I think Kansas is probably worthy of a 2 seed. I think the early losses to UConn without Peterson shouldn't count, especially when he's on a minutes restriction. But that's what I think. I think if we get a 2, that's great. Now, can you be the best 2? So I don't know. Kyle Adama says, is it better to be the highest 2 seed or the worst 1 seed? Okay, well,
I'd say highest 2.
I'd say that. I don't think we're gonna get the. Well, I guess it's kind of the same thing. probably the highest two, to be honest with you. I think
I agree. I think if you get the highest one, your 2 seeds Illinois. I do not want to play Illinois, not for what happened a couple years ago. Actually, a little bit, because that just still haunts me. This team can shoot. Illinois can shoot the ball. They're huge. They can shoot over anybody. They have size down low, which we do not. Like, I don't want them as the 2 seed when you look at the other. I mean, sorry. Like, yeah, when we're the lowest one, I don't want them as the 2 seed compared to the other 2 seeds. And I think that would happen because you're looking at Houston would probably be a 2 seed. Would they pair up 2 Big 12 schools? Like, I don't know, maybe. So
I wouldn't think so unless it's the worst 2 seed and Arizona got the number 1 overall, right?
All gas, no breakfast says, does the highest 2 play the worst 1? Yes. So that's
hypothetically,
that's how it usually goes.
And we're gonna throw the number 2 Iowa State with it's fine with you guys.
But if we were the highest 2, it would probably be. Well, like, I guess it depends how the Big 12 comes out with Arizona and everything, because they'd have an insane amount of good wins.
Right now, I'd say the lowest one is probably UConn or Duke.
UConn or Duke. I don't mind. UConn's weird. I want them to play more teams.
I want UConn if I'm Iowa State.
I kind of want Duke. No, I take that back. I don't want that live. I would be okay with playing Duke. I don't want Duke. But Carlos Boozer just backs down everybody. Like, he's good, but you haven't seen a ton of moves from him. Their freshman guards don't shoot free throws well. They're okay from deep, but they don't, like, impress you that much. Like, the wings are good, don't get me wrong, and their post game's good. But, like, again, it comes down to guard play. What does Duke not have? Guard play. And they're not veteran guards, and they're – remember, I threw that stat at us. It was with that AP poll of, like, Iowa State was the second worst ranked team to, like, their free throw percentage with their 2 guards. Duke was number 1 in that. So, and they were both freshmen, so –
yeah, if anybody's into masonry at all, go to that game, that hypothetical game. You'll get some bricks out of that. It's a really bad Mason joke. I think I would want UConn myself, especially after Caravan allegedly burned Iowa State. I guess that he was down to us and UConn allegedly.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. He doesn't seem like an aughts type player. He seems a little soft, in my opinion.
Well, that's why he's at UConn, but I guess
that would make sense. That would make sense. I mean, all last year he just seemed down on himself because I remember there was one game, I think it was Villanova. He missed like 2 free throws, and then he got fouled, and he had to make 2 to win the game, and he missed the 2 more. Like,
John Burke, extend Tang, yes, do it.
Always got to keep that hashtag rolling.
Yep.
But I think an important note here: we're too far away. There's too many games. But if it gets down to this scenario, Iowa State fans might be Duke fans in the fact that if you look at the regions, the East is in Washington, D.C. I don't like playing UConn in the East region because their fans travel super well, and I still have PTSD from 2014 when they just filled up Madison Square Garden and it felt like a road game. If Duke can get that East, then UConn's probably the South region, which would be Houston. And they're not going to put 2 seed Houston in Houston for the Elite 8. It would more likely be Iowa State.
Or would they?
I don't know. You wouldn't think so, right?
Because, but after the committee, I think the committee's vengeful. I think they're a bunch of dicks.
Committee's sickos.
You know who they hate? You know who they hate?
Football.
You know who they hate more than anybody right now? Hurley.
Yeah,
they would spite him, and they'd throw Houston as the 2 seed in Houston and give them a home game and tell them, go to the Final Four with that.
Yeah, it's way too long. There's way too many games, way too many important games left. But it's just like something to watch. Like, it'll be fun. We'll be talking about it more, but it'd be awesome. We'd we got 2 games to go. By the way, guys, we're cheering for Duke.
Yeah. So what are we thinking about officially this Baylor game? I mean, it looks like right now BPI is giving us a 90% chance to win. I'm guessing Ken Palm's probably got this around a 10-point spread.
Yeah, I think there might be another slow start. If coming off a huge win on Sunday, you have a little bit of a layoff since then, almost a full week. Baylor, they lost obviously at their place to us. You think they would come out a little more ready to go? That's what I would see is like a slow start, but Iowa State picks it up. They win. Just we're more talented. We have better overall players at home. Like I don't see, and I hate that I'm saying it, but I don't see a way that Baylor can really come away from Hilton Coliseum with a win. Now, I do think it is a competitive game. I think it's like 8-12 for the most part.
Yeah, probably doesn't get too crazy. I think 16 might be the furthest this game gets in terms of like point span. And that's probably towards the end when it starts getting into garbage time. So, I mean, that should be good for that game for us. I mean, if we win by 8 to 14 points, that should look like a nice win to the committee. Keep it moving.
Yeah, I was just gonna look. Do we play TCU on Tuesday? We do. So we play TCU at Tuesday at 8 p.m. That one, yeah. I mean, like Baylor and TCU, like they're two okay teams. TCU's on the road, and then it sets up. I just want to watch this team play. It's where I'm at in this season. Like this team is so much fun to watch. I just want to watch them play as much as possible.
It would be okay. So if we're thinking, I mean, obviously the ideal season is you win the regular season, you win the Big 12 tournament, and you sweep them all. If you could pick a 1 seed that can get you to a Final Four the easiest, even if we win the Big 12 tournament and the regular season Big 12, and they still give it to Arizona because, Iowa State versus everybody. Who do you want?
I think it's Duke. And again, it's too early, but they're young. Carlos Boozer would go from facing the mid ACC to one of the best defenses in the country and the guy that's right behind him for National Player of the Year and Joshua Jefferson. Per a lot of stuff I've seen, I would say AJ DeBansa is probably ahead of Jefferson by a little bit, but Duke's guards aren't that good, in my opinion, shooting wise from both the free throw line and from behind the arc. Like I would say Duke. I've seen UConn games, but I need to watch them more. Terrence Reed down low would be a problem. Like if Caravan's on, then it's just like another shooter for UConn. And I honestly, part of the reason is like I just don't want Iowa State fans to watch more Dan Hurley because they're just going to complain about him. Well, guess what? Like Dan Hurley can do whatever he wants. He won 2 natties in a row, and he's a great coach. Like he can complain all he wants. I don't care. I respect him. I don't really like him, but I respect the heck out of him. He's a great coach.
Yeah, it's like Belichick. Like you're not really gonna hate the guy, but you kind of hate him. But you
because the last thing I want to do when we're in an Elite Eight game is just on Twitter, like during halftime or checking some stats, and then it's just everybody complaining about how Dan Hurley is on the side. Well, guess what? He's firing up his team, and that's why they're probably winning the game.
Okay. All right, well, let's get some controversial coaches and rank them in order of like respect, like hate respect ratio. So we got Hurley, recent memory. Is there any? I mean, Fran and his color meter was pretty fun. I missed that sadly.
I'll add in one that I don't know where he'd be. John Shire.
He does get like some Bugs Life eyes going on when he gets really pissed off. He's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't hate him right now. I don't want to respect him, but like at the same time, like he took over for Coach K, and he had obviously it's Duke. You're gonna have good recruiting classes, but like he's done a really good job. Now you get to the fall off in the Final Four against Houston, but like I'm trying to think of another coach.
You call him talk about starting first and goal, right?
Yeah, first and goal, tush push is ready to go. That's what it is.
Yeah. By the way, John, I gave you a Cooper flag, so there you
go. Yeah. I'm trying to think of another coach that maybe want to be liked as much.
I think Tang wants to be liked, but he's just a complete ass.
Nate Oates, not doing too hot in the public's eye right now.
What happened there?
I mean, he's just wants the guy to be eligible. I saw SEC Commissioner
that
Greg
was
Sankey came out today and was like, I'm not on Alabama's side. Like what he basically came out and said. You know how bad and how wrong you have to be for him not to be on your side? Yeah. Yeah. Like,
so Greg Sankey doesn't give a piss about the Tide.
Yeah. He probably doesn't really care about SEC basketball for the most part, I would say.
How many games do you think Greg Sankey has watched of SEC basketball outside of the SEC tournament? Because he's got to be there for the championship to hand the trophy out, right?
I don't know when he
great team and all your hard work this year. Get me the fuck out of here.
He probably watched Cal's return to Kentucky, I would say, and then maybe a random game. Like, yeah. But what one seed you said you would probably want UConn for your one seed?
I think I want UConn. Unless there's some other one seed that comes out of the woodworks that we don't know about, but that would likely be a Big 12 team. I think the Big 12 is probably worthy of having 2 1 seeds this year. Do I think that'll happen in this era of college athletics? Probably not, unless they steal from the Big East.
I kind of forgot about this team. Michigan? What are your thoughts on Michigan?
Oh, they're a 1 seed. I've been doing this for a few years. I'm gonna go pull my list right here. But every year since COVID shut everything down, I pick a couple teams at December 1st that I think is going to win the national title. Every year except last year, I've hit. And I had Houston and Duke last year, and they both lost to Florida on last-second shots. So, I'm on it. Yeah. Now, I got to find this, but...
Well, while you find it real quick, I guess I would add Michigan right next to Duke. Mara, their center, obviously scary at 7'3". But interesting tidbit is our small ball lineup with Jefferson has looked pretty good. And the fact that Nate Heisey's playing as well and rebounding as well as he is right now, that small ball lineup would eliminate Mara real quick. And then all of a sudden it's Michigan without their big guy. That's their best defender. That'd be a 1 seed I would watch for.
Yeah, I like Michigan. So this list I made November 26th. Okay, so the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Arizona, BYU, Michigan, Iowa State, Louisville, and a wild card is Kansas. I haven't seen Peterson play yet.
I mean, you're spot on with everybody there. Louisville had to deal with so many injuries.
Louisville's fallen off a cliff a little bit.
But a lot of that was injuries. So,
but Michigan, Arizona, Iowa State, they're all in the mix. So, and my buddy bet those. I sent them over to him. We got Michigan at 15-1. If you go to Michigan right now, I think it's 4. So if you do it early, it's worth it. David, how you doing?
Yeah, how's it going, David? David's here to join us, talk some women's hoops.
Yeah, very different from the conversations that we had 2 or 3 weeks ago. Very different. Obviously, a big road win at Texas Tech that got even better after the Raiders took down TCU. So that was a big week. Didn't change a whole lot bracket wise, but you had that 5-game skid, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot to change. Maybe a little bit, but it is what it is at this point. You just kind of have to win and let the chips fall as they may. Women's basketball, the brackets are a little bit different than the men's. It's usually just the top 25, and then you get your auto bids, and normally the rest of the bids go to the SEC schools because the SEC is actually pretty good at women's basketball. So you're just gonna have to just keep winning. You've got a lot of good opportunities still ahead of you. At Utah, at BYU is a big stretch this week. That's definitely not a fun road trip. I think Utah's been a little bit better than people thought they'd be this year, and BYU's about where I thought they'd be. They're kind of just right in the middle with Iowa State there in the Big 12. You'd like to win both of those. I think those are both very winnable games, even with Addie Brown still out. But BYU could definitely shoot the 3. So if they're going to space the floor and you've got Audie Crook still defensively, you're going to have to figure out a way to guard the perimeter there, especially against BYU. So I would say that one's probably the tougher of the two. Thankfully, you get them second, or maybe, unfortunately, you get them second because you're coming off of a break here, similar to the men. You played last weekend, didn't have a midweek game this week, and back at it this weekend.
David, we were just talking earlier about just kind of what the rest of the season looks like. Where do we want the men to finish out to get the seed that we want in March and potentially the Big 12 tournament? Where do you think, because it seems like you're kind of feeling this team's on the bubble based on the vibe I'm getting from you.
They should be. The problem is they're right now on that 8-9 line. And with women's basketball, I mean, you obviously don't want to be on the 8-9 line in the men's game, but in the women's game, you especially do not want to be on the 8-9 line. You do not want to have a hard fought 8-9 game and then play UConn. That's not where you want to be, especially with the women's tournament. For anyone that doesn't know, the top 4 seeds host the first two rounds of the playoffs or of the tournament. So you're playing at UConn, even worse. So you definitely want to get off of that 8-9 line if you can. I think right now ESPN has them as a 9. They had them as a 10 last week, so they did move up a line. I would say if you go,
how do you get to a 6? I guess is what I'm asking, because you don't want to. It sounds like you don't really want to be a 7-10 either.
No. If you could get 6-1 with a close loss at TCU, you could get up to maybe that 6-7 line. It's so hard because, you went on that 5-game losing streak and you dropped from, a 3 seed to a bubble team basically. And now you've won 4 in a row, including at Texas Tech, who was 20-3, I think, going into that, or 20-2 going into that game. And you didn't really move up a lot. It's kind of like, when you're in a class and you've got an A the whole semester and then you flunk a test and all of a sudden you're at a C+ and you're like, how did I get this low? That's kind of the situation that we're in. I just, it'll be interesting to see where we're at after these 2 road games. If you win both of them, do you move up to that 7 line? Because then if you're at a 7 after winning 2 road games at Utah and BYU, I think you could probably go, well, one, you'd probably be 4-1 the rest of the way anyway, because I think at BYU and at TCU are your 2 toughest games left. And you've still got a good opportunity at home against Oklahoma State. You lost to them earlier in the year on the road without Addie Brown, without Ariana Jackson. So you've got a good shot at redemption there. And that was a game that was not good at all. That was a 28-point loss on the road. So if you can avenge that, that's probably your next most important game is at TCU, then Oklahoma State, and then at BYU. Those are your 3.
You mentioned Addie Brown. What is her timetable? Like, when is she looking to get back before the Big 12 tournament?
I have not heard anything other than what's been said. And what's been said is there's still no timetable. It's still out indefinitely. And Bill said, I think it was either after the Texas Tech game or after the UCF game, that you're not going to see her in a practice jersey for a while. So if you're not going to see her in a practice jersey for a while, I don't think she'll be back for Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament. Obviously, you'd like to have her back there because even though it seems like the committee largely does not take the Big 12 tournament into consideration, as we've seen in the past, that's a good opportunity to get you back at full strength. And right now, I don't think that looks likely. Maybe I'm wrong, but she's been out indefinitely with really no timetable for the last, 2-3 weeks. So
I'd say you're probably onto something. I mean, a while in college basketball, especially at this point of the season, could mean a lot of things. Especially when they're not obligated to give us a questionable, doubtful report for games. So, maybe she might not come back this season.
That's obviously the biggest worry. I mean, obviously, when you're out indefinitely, that's the biggest worry. And again, like you said, we don't really have any specifics. it was maybe a back injury. Is it a lower body injury? Is it a lower back? There's kind of just been nothing really concrete that's been put out there. And then when you throw that out indefinitely on it, you're kind of just expecting to play without her for, as Bill said, a while. So
she got injured in that dead zone where like you can't redshirt and she's out for a long time. And it's like, if you rush her back too much, she's going to be non-existent for the team. And like, you could make the injury worse. Like the worst possible time to get injured. Like, it's just, you feel bad.
Well, and you look at it, even in the short term, it was the worst time to get injured again, because it was really, she played the game against Cincinnati, I think, or no, maybe she was out the game against Cincinnati, but either way, it was the Baylor game. And, that's a game that you'd love to have back, especially now that Baylor's, tops in the conference.
Oh, lost David to the internet bug.
Yep.
Brutal vibe. He'll be back.
Hopefully not out indefinitely. So in the meantime,
not. We can't redshirt him either. We're too deep into the season.
We got injured at the worst time, right in the middle of his sentence. We were about to have this great take on the Addie Brown injury. It was going to make everyone feel hopeful, and now we're all depressed.
I mean, he makes a good point about not wanting to be at 8 or 9. Imagine if you like double overtime thriller beating a 9 seed, and guess what? You got to go play at UConn. I know the 8 and 9 game is already at UConn, but like, okay, so we get like 1 day off and then we're back at it against UConn. Like, no, thank you.
I mean, that's kind of got us. I mean, especially with how like the women's game, it kind of feels like the 8-9 game is going to like, it's like the A is going to go play the Yankees and like Moneyball, right? Like, oh, it's this little old me.
It's like, oh, this is cute. This is fun. Just don't think 2 days in advance. Just have fun.
Yeah, and it's like South Carolina 101-57. It's like, shit.
Yeah. Some of those scores are crazy.
They blow them out. It's nuts.
I know.
Yeah, well, I guess it pays to pay, right? So,
it would be cool if they could somehow get a 7 seed or a 6 seed. I started with 7 because I didn't want to do the joke. Because
good call.
I've been starting to do that a little more. I started to do it at work, even though I'm like one of the youngest people. And I don't want to be that guy saying 6, 7 all the time. You don't realize it. But people say 6, 7 all the time, especially when they're talking about just like all kinds of stuff.
You're just doing like that number of groceries, or like I need to get like that many potatoes. I'm not going to acknowledge those numbers, but
David, thank God you're back. We're talking about 6, 7, dude.
Oh, God.
Good thing you're back, man.
We were talking mad shit about you, dude. Like, Madge, the comments. Just read the comments. Everyone's ripping. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be on that 6 or the line below that. But yeah, you'd really love to have that Baylor game back. You lost by 2 at home, and now Baylor's 9-2, top in the conference with TCU. So, but like I said, you're on a bit of a roll. The UCF game wasn't the cleanest, but you still came out double-digit win at home. You get into the break now, and contrary, like, I guess not contrary, but on the flip side of, the men, there's kind of that discussion of, well, we're on such of a roll. Why would you give us the break now? Like, let us just keep playing the next game. The women's team, you kind of like this break here. You get 2 road games coming out of it. You definitely don't want to play a game right before that. So I like this spot. I think it'll be tough. I mean, at Utah, at Baylor, or at BYU is not the most fun road trip, but you got 3 home games left, 4 road games, and you've won 4 in a row, including a game at Texas Tech by 14, and that was a game that you dominated the whole way. That was a game you were up by as many as 21. You never trailed, and that's a Texas Tech team that is really good.
I know there's a couple games left for the regular season, but do you have a seed line for the Big 12 tournament?
Well, it's really tight in the Big 12. You've got Arizona State, Iowa State, and Colorado all at 6 and 5, and Oklahoma State and Utah both at 7 and 4.
Okay, yeah.
And Iowa State's got matchups against Oklahoma State, Utah, Arizona State, and BYU all still left. You're probably not going to get to the 4. because that's where Texas Tech is right now. So you're probably in that 5 to 7 range, depending on what you can do here the rest of the way. I think you could definitely get the 5 seed. So, I don't think the 5 seed in the Big 12 is going to get you a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. But, if you can put a couple wins together in Kansas City, maybe get Addie Brown back, who knows? And, I think that's something that we've always had this discussion of how much does the committee take injuries into consideration. That's one they're going to take into consideration.
Yeah, that would be huge, because I know there was some team, it came out some report on the men's side that they were taking like injuries seriously last year. That'd be huge for this year for the women's. Like, if they understand that could play a role. And again, like that could play a role where you're kept out of the 8 or 9 seed because they understand what Addie Brown does to this team.
Yeah, Addie Brown. Obviously Audie Crooks is that player for this team, but Addie Brown and what she does, both as a scorer and a facilitator, being able to be that extra guard to bring the ball down the floor, being that extra shooter on the outside, being that extra post player at times to take some of the heat off of Audie Crooks, just her versatility on the offensive end. And then she's probably your second best on ball defender. So obviously that's a big loss, and it has been, and we've seen the results of that. But it was really nice to see this team put specifically those wins over Cincinnati, Arizona, and especially Texas Tech together. And I think UCF, that's a little bit of a blip. Audie Crooks was not at her best in that game. She only had 10 points. She extended her double-digit scoring streak to 86, I believe, and she scored with like 2 minutes to go in that one to get to 10. But she's been a lot better rebounder the last couple games, and I think that's really helped out a lot. She had 13, I think, against UCF, and I think she had a double-double against Texas Tech, so she had at least 10 there. So she's been a lot better on the glass, and it's not just Angel Reese me bounds either. She's getting a lot of defensive boards as well. So that's been good to see.
4-game win streak for the women's, just like the men's.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good vibes. It's good to have a good vibe. David,
it's so much nicer, dude.
When we started, we just lost every single game. Everybody's been injured.
That loss to Cincinnati, I was not sure that there was a light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah, are they still a quad 4 loss? Are they still bad?
I would imagine so. Yeah, they I don't know the specific quad numbers for the women's right off the top of my head, but Cincinnati's 3-8 and they're 8-15 overall. It's not Houston. Houston's 1-10 in the conference right now, so it's not a Houston loss. But
well, that's good. Positive vibe, David. We got positive vibes on the men's side.
What Shane Shrani is still lying on the internet. Everything is back to normal.
Packers have a new wide receiver coach. Should be well. And we just lost David to the internet again, which I was just about to wrap things up. So I think that will about do it here. Got a lot of good vibes. We got a game on Saturday. We'll have the post-game show following that. And hopefully it's another Cyclone win. Makes it 5 in a row. As then we head to TCU. Nate, anything to say before we head out?
Nope. Always a good day to be a Cyclone.
Yep. Go Cyclones. And hopefully we win on Saturday. Keep the ball rolling a little bit.